there's been a lot of focus on the girl, and positively so.
So when my dad said that statement, I just felt like, well, Mimi, I can't go beyond this.
Boys,
let's chat.
It's very difficult if us as educated and fairly reasonable people start associating femicide with boys.
Now, it is that side of the community that has had this thing of girl-child empowerment, okay, being pushed more than other parts of the world.
the one thing I really dislike, okay, is when I ask my mom, can I do this? And she says, no. I ask her, why? Because I'm mama.
If you're organized and focused in your life, life will give you things. But if you mess up in this life, life will take away those things. You'll have a nice house, you'll have a nice car, you'll have a nice whatever. Ukiblanda, life will take them away from you, and it will be more unkind than your parents taking these things from you. So these little lessons you have when you're at home, these are lessons as to how life will treat you.
I like what some of these tunasema wahenga, those wise people, whatever time they lived, I don't know, but they said some things, and for me I like this, that samaki mkunje angali mbichi.
If you look at a 16-year-old girl and a 16-year-old boy, I can tell you for sure there's a big difference. That's you know what they say about firstborns. Nikwambia you're a parent by extension. You're a co-parent.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Welcome back to Boys Let's Chat, Aunty Reeh's Open Mic. I'm your usual host, Aunty Reeh. Today is a bit different because we are on our season finale. I couldn't be more happy and prouder in where we are now from the time we started. I hope you have been able to be with us for all the 10 episodes that we have put out. I'm particularly excited about the guests that we had and the conversations that we got to speak about. I think my proudest moment is the interactions that we've had with you, our audience. And I don't take it for granted. And even as we highlight some of the episodes that we've had in the past, I just want to take a moment and thank you, most specifically, for taking time to listen to the content that we put out, for taking time to share, comment. Your feedback has helped me grow the show so that we own this together. And some of the recommendations that I got from some of you have made the show even nicer and lovelier. Of course, it has reshaped some of the decisions we have made in some of the guests that we've had in the show. So I just want to thank you for your subscription, for your liking, for your sharing on YouTube, and also just visiting us in all the social media pages, our Instagram accounts. Your emails have been invaluable. We're still overwhelmed to get a lot of information and conversations from you. We're trying our best to respond. But outside of this channel, we have also exponentially grown, because we have had chances to speak to the boys in schools and where they live, and kijijini, where they are. When I look back at when we started this, the biggest objective was how do we help transform boys into men, and not just, into men, but men of substance and standard, and men who take up the space that is rightfully theirs. Many times, and as I've said in the past, when the term gender equality or equity is mentioned, everybody thinks about equality or equity for the girl child. And that's not really the case, Gender is across board. And for me, the biggest challenge and what we want to demystify is one gender must not thrive at the expense of the other. So the purpose of this podcast was to bring this out and to just re-educate ourselves that the boys also have to have their hands held, and helped to grow and transform into what we want them to be. Because when all is said and done, they will still end up with these girls. And you, especially the parents for the daughters, don't want your daughters to end up with people who are not cut out. So just looking back at the journey, what did we learn? I think my biggest learning point is one thing, because every day is a learning sphere. I think we had an episode with a coach, Shadia Rana.
Realistically, and it has to come from them. Like, what are you looking at? Okay, in another 2 years, maybe I want to go to uni. Which subjects are you going to choose? It depends on you. What do you like to do? So write it down. Or
so does writing down help?
It does. It does. So write it down. These are my goals. Put it somewhere so you can always see it.
Yeah. Quite interesting perspectives. I had never really looked at in-depth understanding of mentorship and counseling, but it brought out a very significant issue for me, where when you have your thoughts and dreams and aspirations aligned and you're able to articulate them, not necessarily in writing, but as she said, it helps to write, but you have to have a thought process. Then you know what you're working towards and what you're working to. And if that fails, then you have people whom you can look up to just to help you navigate perhaps challenges or help you see. A lot of times if you have a mentor, then most likely that they have seen more than you have, and they help you navigate easier, maybe, or face the challenges without being too hard on yourself. So I'd encourage the boys to look out for that one person whom you feel and want to open your heart to, so that you can be helped to put your every plans into action. Which one else? I remember a discussion we had with Geoffrey Shimanyula. Uncle Shim, you guys must remember him.
So what you do, of course, you don't aggressively or arrogantly put them off.
Yeah.
You understand that things have changed. So you sit down and sell your idea. Your answer is no, but you must sell the no answer. You don't say no, and move away. No.
Yeah.
You must have tact.
Then do you in that no, do you have at some point a yes or compromise?
Oh, of course. If it's something that is sensible enough, as a father, as a parent, and again, of course, you can't limit everything to your children and say no all the time.
Yeah.
If it's reasonable, you do it.
I think that had the most feedback and reaction, but I also think it's because parents responded in a great way. I think my take home on that was the fact that in as much as we are in a dynamic space right now where a lot of family setup has changed, the one constant is parenting should not change 100%. Have your ground rules, have your principles, perhaps be a bit flexible now because things have changed. But primarily there are things that family setups are held very strongly, and those should still continue. I think over time we keep telling ourselves times have changed and therefore change parenting styles. It doesn't need to change. It needs to remain. You only need to adjust. So yeah, I think it's important. It's good to be flexible even as parents, because these boys are saying when you're too rigid, then we are breaking.
There is no right job for you. Any job that pays your bills and put food on your table is a job.
Career choices. guys are like, oh, I did business course and I can't get a job in the business space. Flexibility, guys. So boys, what we are saying is it's dynamic. Everything is dynamic, you know, from the lives that we have now. So you've also got to be dynamic, you know, and therefore don't be so skewed in your thoughts and actions. Have some level of flexibility where you say, look, this is what I want to do, but if an opportunity arises in something different, and that's what's there right now, I'm going to take it. I remember in that episode we talked about girls and ladies who wako kwa matatu, ni drivers wa matatu, ni wanafanya makanga. They took the jobs. Did they go to train to be? No, but they were flexible. So, I mean, if it's not too extreme, take up the job. Wait to get your dream job, but don't say no. Don't be so narrow-minded to say, you know, I did science and I can only do something related to science, you know. So flexibility is very important. Where then there was the issue of femicide.
It's very difficult if us as educated and fairly reasonable people start associating femicide with boys.
I think that went bust. I think you guys recall Amin Virani. Amin is an old friend, and he has told me to say this, and I will repeat. Boys and men are not murderers. They don't go out killing girls. And we must demystify this feminism issue and femicide, sorry. And therefore, you know, from his perspective, men kill men. Why is it not a big deal? Women kill men. So let's not overemphasize on men killing women. And women also need to be careful, without being controversial, just understanding their surrounding, not to attract this. I think if you know, for those who watched this episode, I got the feedback and they were like, Aunty Reeh, you almost seemed tongue-tied. I was, because the script was out, you know, and it just took a totally different turn, but message is home. Boys are not out to kill girls. Interesting. Reverend Simon Kayemba emphasized the importance of family setup, and especially fathers in raising their children. And he has said that there must be an active role being played, and that fathers must be the first friends of the boys.
There are certain things that a boy will want to pick from a male person, maybe a parent, and they will always feel like something is not complete.
And in the absence of fathers, we must be able to create father figures. And father figures could even be spiritual support, you know, from places of worship. So I know that there's a time we talked about the challenges of raising teenagers in this era, and the one big factor was family setups have greatly changed, and we appreciate that. You know, we have parents opting to raise their children single-handedly, and that's okay, by choice, and of course others is by circumstance, either divorce or death. But also we also have fathers who are raising children in the absence of mothers. And if these fathers can actually be very deliberate to find either their mothers or their sisters to step in and step in, you know, cover in the absence of a mother figure, then I think even ladies should do this. I don't think we want to, to look macho. I don't know. I don't call them single mothers. I think they're just single parents. I don't even know why they're called single mothers. A parent who is alone is a single parent. Single mothers, I never know. Can there be two mothers? So yeah, single parents. It is okay to be a single parent if it's out of choice, but just be conscious to expose your child to a father figure. And this could be your own father, it could be your brother, it could be a friend, or it could be what we spoke about in the episode with Shadia, that get them a mentor, someone who can guide them, who they can be free to say some of the things that they might not necessarily want to tell you. But also, we have seen that even if you want to wing this alone as a mother, then your lines of communication with your sons must be very open and be ready to talk about everything and anything that needs to be talked about. And that's what brings out perhaps confident men, but also they can be able to look at it from the perspective of the mother. And then there was Dino.
The one thing I really dislike, okay, is when I ask my mom, can I do this? And she says, no. I ask her, why? Because I'm mama.
But
to
because
me,
she is.
because she's mom. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't argue against it, but I feel like...
I think you guys remember Dino and crew. Dino still strikes me as a very articulate young man. I think Dino, you remember the episode we had the 3 young boys? Very interesting because we got to hear it from the horse's mouth. These were young boys and they were telling us what they think. And, in this episode, we were really concentrating on picking out the challenges and then, and I'll talk about what we want to do next. But we got a lot of insights on what we as parents think we are doing, but it's counterproductive or it's not working for these boys. And we heard it from them. For example, parenting styles. They're okay with rules, but they're not okay with you speaking at them and not allowing them to give their point of view, And they're saying, in fact, I remember one of the boys said, then if that's what you want, talk alone. And when we finish, dismiss, we go. Because a lot of fathers want to sit the boys down and give them rules, riot act, rule number 1 to 10. And these boys are saying, if you go that route, we will let you talk, we'll shut our mouth, and then we'll walk away. And they're saying, could you please give a reason to the no? I recall Dino saying when he's speaking to his mom and says, and mom says no, and Dino asks why, and then she says, because I'm mom. They don't want these answers, I think the lessons we're learning from this is there's got to be an engagement. We have already exposed these children to so much already. We've asked them to be very open-minded. We've asked them to question situations. But now we are so selective. We want them to question situations at their schools or places of work, but we don't want that to happen in the house. So I'm wondering, at a CCP, we're asking for too much. You're telling them in schools, ask why, how, but at home when you tell them jump, they should not ask. I think some level of flexibility if we want to really connect with these kids. Because you lose them at that formative age, be sure that by the time they hit 20, they will not speak to you. It is a no-brainer. So I think also it's a big challenge to parents where we're saying you cannot rule with a, what is it called? Military?
Iron fist.
Iron fist. You've got to have some level of flexibility. Personally, because I have said this very many times, I'm a mother of boys, I have chosen to pick my battles. And I'm very selective in the battles that I pick. So maybe it's important to pick that. Personally, I say I don't care how you wear your hair. Why? Because I also know it's very short-lived. I mean, I'd rather let you free with your hair, but emphasize on why I think you need to respect women and not have a girlfriend at a certain age. So it's about also picking your battles. I've consciously learned to do that. It's important that we also do that the same. I think that really is the highlight in our previous episodes. And I'm sure now you'll be asking, so what next? We'll probably take a short break, but we only take a short break on camera and the content. But there's a lot of work that we're doing in the background. Very soon you'll be seeing us in your schools and in your communities. And we have now opened door to creating an organization that handles men support issues. So a lot of these details will be shared in our social media pages, where you can come in. We encourage your boys to actually come in and speak to us in person, where we are even asking, we'll have programs that they can come in with their fathers, they can come in with their mothers, and most importantly alone, so that they just have an ear in case they are lost. Because please note that these ages between 16 and 20, you want your sons, or we want our sons to figure it all out. They barely know themselves. If you speak to a 17-year-old, genuinely speaking, he's not sure he's a kid or an adult. He barely knows him. And here you want him to figure things out. And what I am saying is, and that is the role we are playing as Aunty Reeh. Let us speak to them. Let us help them even think. Because how are they going to forge a way or create a tomorrow when there's so much confusion in their identity? And please remember that a lot of these boys are learning how to navigate these challenges from the phone. So while that is good, but there's also a lot of information that is false there. So we are opening our doors to speak to your boys. We encourage that you send them our way. We will work with them. We will speak to them. We will see the best way to handle what we can in our capacity. And I think the bottom line, as we have said every day, we would like to transform these boys into men of respectable stature. When I started all this, I think my biggest issue, just looking around, and of course stemming from the fact that I'm a mother of boys, I'm very concerned about their tomorrow. And now having even being a mother to an even bigger circle as Aunty Reeh, I worry, because our cultural, our religious formations have never changed. Every day we are told that men are, heads of homes, but there is a disconnect, because you find that the girl child was supported in many ways, and then and that's a really good thing. Supported from the community level, from the grassroots, from organizations, and that's positive. The boy, to a great extent, was left to wing it alone. Why? Because you're a man, figure it out, or be strong, or be a man. And I think we really need to discourage consciously, keep to, just telling them, man up. I mean, there's things that they can man up to. Falling down from a bicycle, yes, you can tell your son, man up. But they can't man up in even the challenges they face, because some of the reasons that they don't hold the jobs that they would want to or aspire to is because there perhaps were challenges in between and they didn't know how to go about it. I don't get tired to say that teenagers make mistakes. They will always make mistakes. After all, if we, their parents, are also making mistakes, then really we need to cut them some slack. So teenagers make mistakes, but we should not just forget the boy and say, well, uliiba, ukashikwa, ukaenda jela, and the moment you're out, you're a misfit, or just figure out what you want to do. Maybe a young boy got a girl pregnant. The girl will eventually go back to school because there's a support system that allows her to have the baby and then go back to school. But the boy, if he's lucky that he doesn't go to jail, no school will accept to take him, and he's just there. Yet one day, when the time comes, this boy and this girl will be in a home together. So like I've said many times, the fundamental issue is the man still remains the head, but how does the boy become a head of a home when he doesn't even know what his responsibilities are? I think we're seeing a lot of boys just growing up and thinking, okay, so the lady went to school, so you have a big job, okay, then do it. And they just don't know how to deal, and that's one. Or second, he's coming into a relationship or a marriage and saying, I'm the head of the house. And because he doesn't know what being head of the house means, he's coming in with force, with just a notion, I'm being the head of the house. And there's just such huge disconnect. And I think that's also the reason there's a lot of broken homes, there's a lot of unhappy homes, there's a lot of maybe, ladies opting to just do this alone, and maybe that's the reason we're also seeing a lot of conscious single parenting, especially from the women. I've never actually come across men who say, I just want a child. I don't know if the mothers will ever give them the child, but ladies are doing this. So I think that's it. And if we hold their hands, then we're getting somewhere. But something very, very specific to the boys. We have, I think the last so many months have had the word empowerment so much that we might think that empowerment means you boy be there. We're going to get a whole lot of people to hold your hand to take you to the next move. That's not how it works. Empowerment is self-empowerment. You've got to put yourself out there. You have everything it takes. We get information and feedback from saying, girls were given priority. They were not. I think the universities and the colleges, and schools have equal number, if not more, for the boys in this country. And therefore, you are in an equal space. So empowerment must be self-empowerment. So I want to encourage you, don't just sit there and say, we are waiting for Aunty Reeh, or, some NGOs from somewhere, or some organizations to come and put us in positions in some of these organizations, or take us in schools. No, you've got to put yourself out there. You've got to empower yourself. You've got to know what you want to do, and then just go and do it. And you've got to know that sometimes it takes you. Sometimes I listen to boys who say, so what do I do? I've tried. No, as long as you're here, you have to try harder. So maybe just try harder. And try harder means putting yourself out there, taking jobs that are not necessarily your what you went to school with, but a lot of them are also common sense. So let's demystify this empowerment. Hakuna mtu anakuja huko kuwapa kazi ama to throw money at you kuanza hustle. Niwe kuanza, niwe kuona what is the gap? What can I do maybe to make a change in the society? Many years ago when the women were not working, they felt a need to empower themselves. I don't think anyone came from anywhere. What they did is they formed groups. They formed chamas, and they formed church groups, and they formed little groups that were very supportive of not so much money, but even ideas. And that's what we need to do. If times have changed, don't stick to being a man where you're not talking about it, but not wanting to expose yourself to do new things. So go out there, have these groups, have these formations. If you are not able to do it, a one-man show, find like-minded people, come up, build ideas, and do it together, because you've got to do it. Your responsibility, you cannot absolve yourself from the responsibility. There is no solution in getting into alcoholism, and we see a lot of effort has been put even by government to talk about alcoholism and how to get yourself out of it. But truly speaking, you have what it takes. Because if you tell yourself that this is destructive, and it is, sometimes we have to fight against our own willpower to just say, I'm not going to do this. Because because at some point you're sober. And you know that if you don't fight your inner self or inner feelings, then truly speaking, we can preach and want to help you as much as we do, but there'll be no solution to that. So sometimes you've got to, when I specifically talk about alcoholism, you have to fight. It's got to be conscious, and you're telling yourself, I've got to stop this. I think everyone has that willpower, and you need to have one that is much bigger than your addiction, and it's got to come from self-within. If you're coming from a community that is not privileged, the circumstances has nothing to do with you, but you must tell yourself that I've got to get me out of this. If within your community, the only way maybe your peers are making life is, mugging guys, kupiga watu ngeta, kuiba, you can't be different. And a lot of times it's in that one person wanting to be different. So today, even as I speak to you from my heart, I want to say that we can do everything we can. But if you don't take it upon yourself to say, I've got to cut out this bad habit, I've got to cut out this stereotype, ati watu wa mtaani ni gangster, you've got to cut that stereotype. And also cut this stereotype of, men are weak and men can't cry. Because now I've touched on alcoholism, and I've touched on wheezy and issues like that. But also when we get to suicidal issues, we cry, if you have to. But get yourself up. Because even women and the girls, at some point you dust yourself up and say, look, okay, sawa, I'm depressed. Probably my things are not going right. But I've got to find a way out of it. And you've got to find a way out of it. So I think my biggest plea is take it upon yourself, really, to say, look, kuna shida. I have a problem, and the solutions must come from myself. And when you do that, you're able to uplift, the next person. So even when we say we want to empower the boy child, what we mean is we're not coming to spoon feed you, is we want you to put yourself out there to be empowered. And that calls for changing your lifestyle, for wanting to do better, for kujituma, and saying, I've got to do this, I've got to change the narrative. Because if you don't, wase, amna bibi. There are no girls for you out here. And that's the truth, and yeah, cut kidogo.
No, maybe we can also add that no one is coming to save you.
Yeah.
And no one owes you anything.
Yeah.
So you have to just go out there and
do it.
Yeah, you can. All the information is out there. Like this podcast is giving information and maybe mentorship in some way. But then nobody is going to come and remove you from a misery in your home. So if you need to cry it out. Mm-hmm. And then you said don't say man up, but still at the end of the day, even women have to man up.
Yeah.
So just man up and go out there and do what's necessary.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you get the point. This empowerment is self-empowerment. Don't dwell in the misery. Don't say, sina job, nilienda interview, the girl got it. There was an opportunity in TVET ama KDF, the girls got it. I mean, move on from the pity party, self-pity situation. No one is actually coming to where you are or your home to pick you and give you a solution. I think this is the only place where we say you've got to man up. So man up, get up and get out. Get out. This help, the only help maybe that you're getting, for example, the shows that I run on the podcast as Aunty Reeh, is to help you see where the challenges are, but also to make you understand that you're not the only one going through them. These are general challenges that are being faced across. Right now in our country, there's many challenges. There are no jobs, and you've got to think outside the box. But it's not sitting, you can't sit listening to Aunty Reeh on YouTube every day and not get yourself out there to change your life. So I hope even as you watch all this, it's an eye opener and it's a brain opener to say, hey, nikubaya, huku mbele, it's gonna be harder. So maybe let me look for a solution and then seek the solution. If you don't have an idea, that's where mentorship is coming in. If your problems are much bigger than that, please seek counseling. Seek counseling. But whatever you do, you've got to move. Don't just get stuck. You have to move from one level to the other and the other. And hopefully along the way, you can be able to hold the hands of the next boy. So what's in store for us in the coming episodes? Like I said, a lot of things. We are collaborating with other partners. We are going out to you. We are a bit overwhelmed with the requests to visit some of your communities. The schedules permitting, we will come. You'll see a lot of that. We are not losing the focus on our objective. As Aunty Reeh, my biggest focus is you, the boy child. And if any of you just watched one episode and it made a change in your life, I couldn't be more prouder, because that is what we want. And therefore we will continue to engage. We'd still like you to continue to watch us on our social media pages, subscribe, like, share, invite people. If you would like to be a guest speaker in the next episodes, please do reach out to us. We will share with you our contacts on the social media, but also on email, our email account. Write to us. We'd be very happy to hear from you. If you'd like to invite us to your communities and schools, again, please do so. We will strive very hard to come and talk to you, because sometimes it's all in the talking. That there's someone who listens, and Aunty Reeh does listen, and I want to listen to you, and I want to help you navigate, and help and see you change, because when your life tomorrow is impactful, I think we would have won this war. I think we are tired of hearing the narrative, siku hizi wanaume wamekuwa tu wa useless. It can't be. You're holding the mantle. Please hold your positions. Hold them rightly. And just put yourself out there. So thank you very much.
Actually, before you wind up, I have a question from behind the scenes. How has this journey been for you? For you as Aunty Reeh, the whole production process, the footage going missing, the making time to record.
My friend,
how has that been?
Nerve-wracking. So I have done a lot of work as Aunty Reeh in the background. I have never been in the cameras, and this was the first time. When we started this show, was not the beginning of introducing Aunty Reeh. There's, I'm so used to sitting on the ground and talking to boys. So cameras scared me. I used to brag for a long time that I was very good with my words. But every time my director, Marv, big up to you, would say 1, 2, 3, start, I would lose it completely. I wouldn't even know how to introduce it. It takes a while. I think it's a challenge. Alafu, I've learned that there's so much that goes into these things. One moment you say something for 10 minutes and your guys are like, repeat. I'm thinking, what do I say again? Yeah, we lost voice. So that was also crazy. We actually lost a whole episode. A full episode, and it was very interesting. It was an educationist. I realized the technology is not for some of us. I don't know. My director, I don't know. I'll expose him, but there's so much. In fact, there's a time. So we purposed to post every 2 weeks, and a few times he would call and say, Aunty Reeh, sauti ilipotea. Aunty Reeh, hapo in between, you find that maybe in between a discussion, you've lost something. So yeah, crazy. As a person, I'm very confident. However, every time I know we are recording, I have ulcers, I have a tummy upset. Yeah, some, yeah, nervous. You know, sometimes you don't think you're saying the right thing. Even when my producer, Lynn is amazing. She keeps saying, just do it, you know, just do it. But sometimes you're not sure you're saying it right. Sheng yangu si poa. So again, that's another thing. You know, we have to incorporate everyone who listens to us. So the one positive thing is nimeanza kujua Sheng, lakini si ile ya nini ya mbwekse za tu hivi hivi, lakini na walombo tovu. So kuna strides maze, kuna strides, yeah. Then the days KPLC wanafanya ile kitu and you have a whole wasted day and there's nothing you can do. So yeah, the challenges were many. Of course we record from the house, so unakuta maybe that day is when there was a sick child or two children fighting, or maji inamwagika sijui kutoka wapi, and director Mav huko is losing his hair. So yeah, it's the challenges have been many. I recall one particular recording. I was very sick. I don't know if you'd think it was the first episode. I mean, you could tell. I know a few people wrote back, and the family especially wrote and said, "Hata ukuweka lip balm, you know, something gloss on your lips." I was like, I had just come from hospital. The following day I was in hospital. I was short of an admission, but because we had to record, so I was very ill at that time. But I like you guys because you pick these things. But well, you know, that perhaps is life, you know, such is life. So yeah, those are the challenges. There's
the mishap with the name, Shim's name.
Apologies,
yeah. This one I interchomea director. So I had a guest, and so of course we shot and everything was fine and we aired. And when we aired, he was baptized a different name. No, incidentally, this guest, Uncle Shim, you guys must remember him, is a friend. So I just get a call and he tells me, "Aunty Reeh, pull down that thing." So I hadn't even seen it. So I call the producer, I call Lynn, and I'm asking her, what is wrong? I think they called him George.
Was it George or Geoffrey?
No, he's Geoffrey.
You wrote George.
He's Geoffrey, and he said, you know, and we had to pull it down because, well, he was not George. So, yeah, mishaps. I think they happen. I don't know. It's a learning curve. I hope that they're getting better, but I also like to keep them as authentic as possible. So sometimes, you know, in between all that such is life. So things happen, but some were more crazy. I have now learned to tone down a bit in the planning because I've realized, you know what, if it's beyond your control, there is nothing you can do about it. So I don't pull my hair anymore, and I say, you know, let it be. Kaende.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's also the people who come and project at the comment section.
Hey.
Like,
people who have not healed.
Yeah. And the feedback has been good because one, for me personally, I get to know that you're listening and you're watching and you're keen. Like I said, I've never put myself out to the public, and I realized that it can also be harsh out here because you guys have zero chills. You know, a few times I've been told, "You look too tired." So before I come on set, I have ice under my eyes. A few times I'm told, "But you know, your lipstick wasn't good enough." Those I deal with. But then there are those who say, "Oh, the host was very skewed in her thinking," or you know, or the guest did not perhaps touch on, and we don't script, so whatever happens with the host happens. I know sometimes people also want to have certain answers in the way they want to have them, but it happens. I think there was the episode on femicide, where it took me so much time to even consider to upload it. At some point I was talking to the crew and the production crew and saying, should it go up? Because the backlash that we'll get, and true to it, the backlash that we got was crazy. They said, oh, the guy is biased, oh, he doesn't feel women, oh, why is he saying women have called for it? But like I said, sometimes what the host says is what the host says. We just take what is important or critical for us at that moment and try to just get the message home.
Also, you can't control the guest's thoughts.
That's it. That's it. And the truth is, it doesn't become a show if you direct a host thought. So you allow them to be. Maybe that's how they understand it, or that's how they want to interpret it. What else? What else was outstanding? I think those were the highlights of the moment. So, yeah. Yeah. I must not forget this. This backlash started from my children. And then when I walked down the stairs to come and shoot, I met the crew. I want to ask the director, Mav, if you can actually, at this point, when show that outfit. So I come down and I'm thinking I'm ready, tunaenda set. And the first thing one of my sons tells me, why have you worn that dera? I'm like, because I want to. And he says, "Hiyo ni Kenya uniform." I downplayed it because I don't want to say this, but he was my child. I had to breathe in. I came down with a smile. Just as I'm coming to sit, and the crew like, "Ala, umevaa Kenya uniform." I deliberately didn't change, and it went on air. So I hope you'll see it. Kwani sijui kama kuna shida na hiyo dera. But that tu ni ile smart inakaa kama leopard print. Mimi hata sijui kwa nini ni shida. But nimeambiwa ni Kenya uniform. In fact, I'm made to understand that there is a meme around that there's no Kenyan mom who doesn't have that. So that makes me an authentic Kenyan mom. Too bad. Walisema nimechoma, but it is. Yeah, that's it. So maybe in the new episodes kuna mtu atakuja in the new season akuja aseme, Aunty Reeh, we want to dress you, we want to make sure you're standing out. I'm free and I'm available, so reach out to the production team. We're happy to do that. We're also happy to come and collaborate now with corporates. We're happy to come and shoot at your premises. We are now asking for your support to help, because it hasn't been easy. The costs are very prohibitive, and therefore we want now to collaborate on a more commercial angle. So for those who are able to support us, you can make me up, nikuwe na makeup, nikuwe na valishwa. Of course, if you'd like us to mention you in our production, we're happy to work with you in the next season. So, yeah. So that's it. So just as a takeaway, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, most sincerely, as Aunty Reeh. I couldn't have done this without you, and I'm therefore very grateful for your support and for your viewership. And until next time, please remember to still stay tuned, subscribe, like, watch the episodes that you didn't watch, share them with the people that you hope will make a change, and let's meet again. Thank you and God bless.